Look, we did actually go and get a Christmas tree. Well, Chris got us a Christmas tree because if it was left up to me, we would have just had the Christmas tree in a box with the fairy on it, if you saw social media. Plus, I also got into the Christmas mood by getting the best, I think, Christmas t-shirt ever. Look at this. Every day I'm brustling. Hey folks, it's Finn. Hello, lovely people. How are you doing? Can't answer back, can you? I always do that as if I'm expecting you to go, I'm all right. It's weird, isn't it? That was a strange start to a video. Here we go. One of Finn's strange video starts. We're not going to start that again. Hello. So welcome back to another video. And if you're tuning in for the very first time, welcome. This is just how we do things here. It's a little bit strange over here. It's not strange. Actually, I'm feeling okay today. Honestly, I am. I am actually feeling quite well today. You just can't tell by the way I'm starting this video, but I'm actually doing all right. It's today. It's gonna be an video today. Apparently, today is Tuesday. I have to look at my watch because I never know what day it is. Today's Tuesday. I had a hellish week last week. I had a migraine from Thursday, a headache / migraine, because these are strange things, these headache migraine things. It started on Thursday and it ended on Monday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And I just lost all that time because when I have these headachy migraine things, I have to like keep my voice low. I can't move my head very quickly. It's just hell. And then yesterday I had like a real low day because when they finished, it just leaves me feeling really, really low. It's really peculiar. But today I feel okay. So today I thought I would record a video. And it's nothing to do with Christmas or to do with every day I'm brustling. But I do feel like every day I'm brustling, to be honest, because ME is all about hustling and brustling, isn't it? Because it's just about getting through. But I've actually got some really good news today. And it's one of those things that's really good news, but it's strange to say it's good news because I've got a new diagnosis, an additional new diagnosis, and it's really weird to be saying I'm really excited about that. But I am. But let me explain why I'm excited about that. Now, if you are tuning in for the very first time, hello, my name is Finn, and here on this channel, I share everything basically about my life. And at the moment, what I'm mainly sharing about is I've got ME/CFS, myalgic encephalomyelitis, otherwise known as chronic fatigue syndrome. And I was only officially diagnosed with this in April this year, 2022, but I've been struggling with this since 2018 and struggling to get a diagnosis with this. Now, I had a GP last year who, now that I've left him, I can say was a really nice guy, but was very, very old school in terms of thinking around ME/CFS. Now, there is a very old school of thought of ME as psychological. You'll hear phrases around ME thrown about that it is functional. And basically, functional basically means the same as a conversion disorder. And conversion basically means something in your mind, like you go through a trauma or a difficult event, and then that difficult event gets turned into a physical illness. And they try and make you feel better about this by saying, well, it's still real. Okay, and perhaps these things do happen and there are such conditions, but it's been proven time and time again that ME/CFS is not a functional disorder. It is a neurological condition of a biological basis. You can see biological changes in the body, and whereby at present there isn't a way to actually test for ME/CFS, you can see systems within the body that are changed because of having ME/CFS. It has a biological basis. It isn't in the mind. Okay? Unfortunately, no matter how many times I showed my ex-GP the nice guidelines that came out last year that actually say this, he really didn't want to listen. Now, I want to do a whole vlog on this and on how problematic it is that GPs and medical professionals gaslight people around invisible conditions. It has been so problematic, and it makes it so much more difficult for those of us who have invisible conditions and those of us who have invisible conditions and a history of mental health conditions to be properly treated. I have often been seen as somebody who's got a mental health past and has ongoing mental health challenges, has then been put in this box. That's all that's wrong with you. And I could waffle on in this video about that, but I want to do a separate video on that. But you needed a bit of background to understand this. Okay. Sorry, joked on myself. That's currently happening a lot. More on that. So my new GP, I still haven't seen him because you can't see a GP at the moment. In the UK, we have such a problem with the NHS. It's so hard to see a GP. But in getting these migraines, trying to get these migraines sorted out, as I shared a little while back, he's been great. He actually gave me some preventatives. He actually gave me some medication for them when they kick in that helps. And one day when I got someone on the phone that was dealing, I just went blur and blurted out, look, there's so many problems I have that my ex-GP wouldn't address, and I'm convinced if some of these are addressed that a lot of my problems would be a lot easier to deal with. And I just blurted. And one of the problems that I've got, which lots of you lovely, lovely people have commented on, is my high heart rate, my profuse sweating, my dizziness, my migraines. And lots of you who've got experience with this have commented time and time again, Finn, you've got PoTS. This is classic PoTS symptoms. And after Googling this, I've agreed with you. And I've agreed with you for the last year that you've been telling me this. And I have gone to my ex-GP time and time again with my readings from my Fitbit, because it became clear when I started doing heart rate pacing, and I'll put a link up to my video about that, how much my heart rate was easily going over 120 beats a minute. You know, I would get up off the sofa and walk from here to the kitchen, or it was in my other flat at the time, and it would get up to 110 on standing. And then with a few minutes standing up, it would be at 140, 150, 160 at times. And it wouldn't come down. Even if I stood still in the kitchen, it still wouldn't come down. I had a pacing stool, I'd sit on that. It would lower to about 140, but still wouldn't come down. The only way I could get it down, a couple of times I'd led on the kitchen floor to get it down, and then it would drop to 160. Sorry, it would drop back down to 60, like quite quickly. Or I'd come back and I'd lie on the sofa and it'd be fine. And this was happening all the time. And, you know, that's partly why I started using the mobility scooter, and the difference that made to my fatigue levels was incredible. The less I was hitting these massive high heart rates, the less palpitations I was having, the less dizziness I was having, the less migraines I was having, and it really did change things. And lots of you were saying, get some help, go for a tilt test, get a specialist. But I was stuck every single time, because every time I went to this ex-GP, he was saying, in his words, this is unconscious stress. There's nothing wrong, you have unconscious stress. And when I'd say, look, I can feel it. My heart is pounding, it's missing beats, and my Fitbit is telling me I'm on an elliptical trainer because I'm at 150 beats a minute. That's anxiety. When I eventually did get him to send me to have my heart looked at, and it showed that I had inappropriate sinus tachycardia, and I said, look, see, it is going up high. He's like, that's because you're extra sensitive to your heart rate and it's making you anxious. But look, they've said it's not dangerous. We've now done a heart scan. There's nothing wrong with your heart. So this isn't dangerous. And I said to him, look, I know what you're saying. I believe you that it isn't dangerous. but surely my heart rate being up this high must be adding to the fatigue, because surely my heart running at this high all the time has got to make me fatigued. Oh no, a high heart rate won't have any impact on your fatigue levels. And I was hitting this brick wall every single time with him. And I understand why, because in his mind, my chronic fatigue, my myalgic encephalitis, ME, was functional. So what would be the purpose in his mind of sending me for any more tests? Every time I asked him, he said, well, what's the point of sending you for further tests? We've got a diagnosis. You've got chronic fatigue syndrome. He would never call it ME. You've got chronic fatigue syndrome. What's the point? Because in his mind, it was functional. I've been referred for pacing. That was it. He wanted me to have cognitive behavioural therapy, and he kept going on and on about it. I really think this would help you if you went for some cognitive behavioural therapy. So for him, me having a tilt table test and having medication like beta blockers was pointless, because this was in my mind. It was my mind that needed fixing, not my body. See what I mean? So every single time any one of you lovely people said, you need some help for this, Finn, I was like, no, I know I do, but no one will help me. Anyway, so fast forward 11 minutes, sorry. Lovely new doctor, and my occupational therapist, I should state as well, from the ME service, was saying this isn't right, talk to your new GP. Referred me to this amazing chap at our local hospital called Jamie Fulton, who's an expert dysautonomia clinic, and I had to do this what's it called, a sit to stand test. It's called something else, but basically you have to take your heart rate and I've talked too fast now, my brain's gone. Blood pressure, sitting and then lying and then standing for a certain amount of time and repeat for a while and take lots of different measurements, then all of my history. It was a really detailed report on how everything's functioning. And lo and behold, what have I got? Orthostatic intolerance, dysautonomia, and suspected PoTS. It hasn't confirmed PoTS, but it also hasn't ruled it out, because I didn't meet the complete criteria on the sit to stand test. His actual words are emergent relevant diagnosis, because we've still got to do some more tests yet. Dysautonomia, orthostatic intolerance, although postural tachycardia syndrome, PoTS, is not fully excluded, especially as the active standing test, that's what it's called, revealed an unusually low heart rate and response to postural change. I've also got this linked triad, which they call the PoTS triad of the migraine, dyspepsia, and dysthermia. Dyspepsia are these weird symptoms I get of palpitations, chest burning, and this weird, awful, uncomfortable fluttering that at times, I think I've told you this before, can go on for like weeks. And I know it's safe because I've had my heart checked, but knowing something is safe doesn't make it comfortable to live with. And the dysthermia is the sweating that you see me do, where I can take one small step for man and suddenly like break out in a sweat. And this isn't a normal sweat. This isn't a sweat that just, gently comes out of your head or whatever. This is like it comes out of every single pore. It's like every pore just opens and then Niagara Falls starts. And once it starts, it doesn't stop. And it's impossible to then cool down. Everything just gets soaked. And unfortunately, this is made worse by heat. So having a shower, even on like the most tepid of temperatures, sets this off. So I have a shower, I get out of the shower, and I need another shower because then I'm sweating. At night, I am a sweaty mess. My head is always soaked. I can be cold and sweating. It's bizarre. So yes, so although it's not fully PoTS, it's orthostatic intolerance, dysautonomia. We're suspecting PoTS because of other things that are showing up. He's also diagnosed a probable rapid eye movement. I'm reading it. REM, sleep disturbance, which makes sense, and Chris would tell you that. I have a big history of sleepwalking. I don't sleepwalk as much these days. My general sleepwalking is I sit up, sit at the end of the bed, mumble a bit, and lie back down. But I also have a history of sleep freezing, which is terrifying, where you wake up in the middle of a dream and the dream's still in the room and you can't move. It's flipping terrifying. But I also don't stay still in my sleep. Like, I act out my dreams and stuff. And like, my common thing is laughing. No matter what goes on, I'm laughing in my sleep. It's really nice to know I'm happy in my dreams, but like, it's bizarre no matter what goes on. So I wake Chris up all the time, thrashing about, laughing, and just generally acting out my dreams. So he sent me about 5 pages of email, which I've put onto Word and then downloaded. It's amazing. I replied to say I love you, and if I'm glad this isn't in person because I'll be hugging you inappropriately right now. And this is why I'm saying this is a really positive thing, because I feel seen, heard, and validated for the first time. After being gaslit for a year and being told this is in my mind, someone has actually turned around and gone, no, all of these symptoms are real. And of course you're feeling exhausted. All of these things, he's listed that all of these symptoms that I'm experiencing will be caused by orthostatic intolerance / PoTS / dysautonomia. You know, all of these things I'm going through. So I think the worst thing for me, really, I mean, of course the sweating's uncomfortable, but like top of my list to get rid of is the migraines, the headaches, because I can lose days for that at the moment. They go through phases where they're worse. And so, I mean, the doctor's been amazing at upping my topiramate, and the sumatriptan has, like, most of the time knocked it away. But like over the last 5 days, I've had a sumatriptan and it's kind of knocked it almost gone, and then like a couple of hours later it's come back, and you can't have another sumatriptan. And I only get 6 a month at the moment, so I might need to revisit that. But it looks like if those are caused by the PoTS, orthostatic intolerance, then it's only the PoTS meds that are going to do anything about it. That's great, but this is why it's positive, because validation, and you know, that kind of like, see, I told you so, when I do a drive-by at my ex-GP right now, I tell you. But also hope, right? Because I was never pursuing this to completely cure my ME. I know that this is a condition that can either go or doesn't, you know, that there's only so much you can do. But there is often treatment for symptoms. But with my ex-GP not even want to work with me on that, I was stuck. But now for once, I actually have some hope that there are some medications and some treatments that might help to limit some of these symptoms and make my life a lot more comfortable. So I have validation, I have hope, I also have some control, because he's given me like this protocol of like some different ideas about what we can do and choices. So none of it's going to be started until the new year because I have Christmas. But like, I have this hope and like a plan that I can choose coming into January. And I haven't had that for like the last year. Since this all descended on me and I became that poorly, I've just been living day after day after day with these symptoms, and nothing really I can do except try and pace and manage my energy and just hope that by doing that I can get this under control. That's it. Now I have something tangible. Does that make sense? So, like, one of the first things he suggested doing is coming off venlafaxine, because that can actually make palpitations and tachycardia worse. So we're gonna, this is gonna be the worst thing, come off that and then swap onto a different antidepressant first, and then once that's done, redo the, what it's called again, I keep forgetting what this standing test is called, active standing test again, and then see how I perform on that. And then after that's done, there's some different medications that we can try for the PoTS. So to briefly explain what orthostatic intolerance is, and I've written down a brief thing so I can try and explain it very, very briefly. It's basically the body's inability to regulate your blood pressure and blood flow. So the blood doesn't move around properly. So what happens, the blood kind of gets pushed to the edges of your body. And because of that, your body then thinks, oh, there's no blood in my body. So then your heart compensates by beating really, really fast to try and like get your blood around, which then is what makes you kind of dizzy, what pushes your heart rate up. That's what orthostatic intolerance is. PoTS is a more extreme version of it, of which orthostatic intolerance is a symptom, but with PoTS, postural orthostatic syndrome, you get other symptoms as well. You get the additional really extra high heart rate. With PoTS, you need a heart rate of 120 and above on standing that maintains for 10 minutes or more. But you also get the other additional symptoms like the migraine and sweats and things like that on top, which is where dysautonomia comes in as well. So that's basically what that is. So it's the body's inability to move from like sitting to standing and regulate all of these different systems so that your body compensates. And that's why, you sit to stand and you'll get dizzy, high heart rate, all of these peculiar things. I get really weird symptoms like when I stand up and like it just feels like my legs, it feels like between my mid thigh and my mid calf disappears, and it's just like that. I just feel really wobbly on my legs. I get like head rush, basically. That's how it feels. It just feels like head rush. I just call it like, well, it's head rush, but it's like whoa kind of feeling. And sometimes it can happen when I'm lying down or sat down. It can just literally, I'll be sat there and it's like the world suddenly goes woo like that. It's really peculiar. And I'm like, I'm just sat here. What am I doing? And it will just suddenly do that. But also I get, Chris always laughs at me, but my migraines are meow meow migraines. It just feels like my head goes meow meow meow. It's weird. Yeah, and the sweats and stuff as well. So yeah, that's basically what it is. I have a friend called Tachyicardia who posts loads about this, and we were talking recently on one of their vlogs because they are also pursuing a diagnosis, and I'll put a link up to their videos because they've got a really good video up in detail explaining PoTS, and I think they explain orthostatic intolerance as well. But yeah, they've got a really detailed video up about PoTS, and I'm going to message them and tell them what's just happened to me because we're doing it in tandem as well at the same time. But yeah, I just feel it's, as I say, it's bizarre to be really happy about getting another diagnosis, but it just gives me some hope. This is quite a common thing, by the way, in ME to have orthostatic intolerance. It's because ME affects the central nervous system. It's a neurological condition for that reason. It affects all the central nervous system that comes from the brain all the way through the body, which is why all of the organs are affected, because the nervous system comes all the way down the body and obviously goes into all the organs. So it's a common thing for orthostatic intolerance to be present in ME in varying degrees. But it just means that in some people it's more of a problem than in others. And in me, it's a huge problem because this is obviously what's really contributing to my mobility issues. So this is like another reason why this is really exciting for me, because, for example, if this really works, if we really got all of these symptoms under control, perhaps I could be more mobile, which would be amazing, because this is what stops me being mobile. I mean, some days it's as silly as if I walk to the car. I mean, because I usually just use my two sticks to walk to the car, and then for anything further than that, I'll use Molly. On very rare occasions, we'll park outside like the little corner shop, and I'll very carefully with Chris walk around the corner shop. I mean, I'm talking tiny corner shops. And then I'll be asleep on the car home, and then that's it. I've crashed for 3 days. It's that ridiculous, But some days it can even be like if I've walked like 10 steps from our front door to Chris's car, and I'm asleep, and then I can't even handle the mobility scooter on bad days. Do you know what I mean? And that's because my heart rate will shoot up really, really high. I'll get the palpitations, I'll get the dizziness, and that just floors me. And that is sounding like that is more of the PoTS effect that's really kind of wiping me out. And if it is that, then even if it takes off a little bit of that off, you know, it could really help. And that's what I was talking to my also affects the rest of the video is just going to be like this. Also affects your cognitive processing as well, which is possibly why mine is getting quite a lot of double effects, because ME affects it, and then if I've got this PoTS and orthostatic intolerance as well. Completely forgot what I was going to tell you. No, it's gone. I'm getting too tired now, so I don't know what I've said. But whatever, it's a good thing. When I watch this back, I might have to just put some credits in, because there was something I was going to say there and I can't remember what it was. Nope. Don't know. Nope. Nope. Oh yeah, talking to my orthostatic. Oh. Talking to my occupational therapist, the ME service, we were talking about how 2% can make such a difference over time. That's what it was. Because I was saying that, you know, I'm not looking for a miracle. At the moment, we were talking about, in terms of a battery, how much of a battery I think I've got. Because my ME is said to be kind of like going between moderate to severe. That's kind of like I'm on that edge. I kind of go between moderate, severe. So how much of a battery do I think I've got on average? And I think I probably am at about 25% of a battery I wouldn't say most days. On average, I'm about 25% of a battery. So it's so easy for me to go into minus because I'm only on 25%. But if all of these treatments mean that I have even just 2% extra energy, that's 27%, which means I might be able to avoid going into post-exertional malaise a lot easier. And the less I'm going into a crash, the more I'm managing to recover. Because every time you crash, you relapse a bit and you do your body damage. Do you see what I'm saying? So the less I spend in crash, the more my body recovers over time. So that even tiny 2% extra energy and recovery over time will add up, you know. So it's not like I ever expected my previous doctor to perform miracles or to ever understand PoTS even. All I wanted him to do was work with me and help. Thank goodness I have a new GP who's willing to do that. And thank goodness I have a very, 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 very good therapist currently who's helping me to work through anger issues. She's advised me this week to write a no-send letter and to write down all of my feelings. I mean, I know I'm doing it here on YouTube as well, if he watches my video. Write a no-send letter, all the things I want to say to him about how difficult he's made this last year, how he shouldn't be doing this, and then read it to my therapist and then burn it. But I also do think I should possibly send something to my ex GP surgery, because it's just not right, is it? I mean, there's clear guidelines there for a reason. Anyway, I'm going to talk about that in another video, because lots need to be said about this problem with ME, gaslighting, and not following the nice guidelines, because it's dangerous. Yeah. Get off your platform, Finn. Okay. Right. I'm going to turn over the sheet on that. Yay for new diagnosis. Every day I'm bristling. Okay. Now, it's Christmas. Almost. What day is it? I've already done that, haven't I? It's the 20th of December. Folks, this is going to be my last video of the year, I expect. We are off to Chris's mum's this Friday. We're going up for Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day. Chris hasn't got much time off this year. So we're just having a mini Christmas at his mum's. Then he's back at work. But I think realistically, it's probably going to take it out of me. So I'm probably going to say now, this will be this last video of this year, and then I shall make a new video in the new year. I'm probably going to talk about goals. Well, I don't do goals, do I? I'm not a goals for the year ahead kind of person. But I do want to talk about intentions and not even aims. Intentions and focus, because we're ditching the goals, because it's all about now, especially in like this new diagnosis and new tablets and stuff, there's going to be a lot of health focusing stuff going on, and I want to talk about that. But I do want to talk about like just what I've been talking about over the last few months, really, and how I'm changing the way I'm doing a lot of things, in how I've let go of a lot of the stuff I've been doing, some ideas on what I might be doing going forward, and just like share the new year with you. So yes, this will be my last video before Christmas, and you say you'll see me again in the new year. I'm on social media, so come and find me. I am trying to do a members, Friends of Finn members video for you all before Christmas, because I know I owe you a behind the scenes. I'm so out of date, but I'm going to try and get that up before Christmas as well, I promise. I will try, but you'll get something. You'll get something. On that note, I want to say a massive thank you to a couple of Ko-fi donators who have just left me a Ko-fi. I've got a big thank you to James Alif, who left me a Ko-fi donation on my Ko-fi page. My if you don't know what it is, I'll put a link up there. Ko-fi is like Patreon. It's very much like that, but instead of buying me a Patreon, you buy me a coffee. Ko-fi coffee. That's what it is. It's a little coffee. Mine is, my favourite coffee is a flat white with oat milk. That's what that is. So thank you, James, for that. And also thank you to Ryan, who left me a really, really, really lovely message with his Ko-fi donation, talking about learning to like care for themselves and learning about how vital that was. And I thought that was really, really lovely and such a perfect Christmas message, because it should be. We used to spend so much time getting so stressed out at Christmas, don't we, about who we should be spending time with, who we should be getting this with, and all of that. And what it really should all be about is caring about each other and not forgetting ourselves, because this time of year is so stressful. So do please take care of yourself at Christmas, and thank you so much for your very, very kind donation. I also want to give a massive shout out to one of our own members, Friends of Finn members, Charlie, who recently had his top surgery date changed. Now, my last video last week was all about top surgery and celebrating, and I didn't have time to say something and I forgot. And I just wanted to give a big shout out, because it was changed from being January the 3rd to February the 7th. And if you're not trans, that might not sound like a lot, but if you are trans, you'll understand how big a deal that is when dates get changed, because, you know, you have a date set in mind and you have everything planned, especially when you have life and study and work and commitments, and you've been waiting for this for so long and it gets changed. So Charlie, my heart goes out to you. We're all like willing the time to go really quick, and when it comes around, we've all got your back, so you'll be fine. Big shout out to everybody. I love you all, and you're all amazing, and you all deserve the best things this Christmas, especially loads of love, peace and happiness, and everything you all deserve. Whatever you unwrap this Christmas, I hope it's filled with love. I wish I was all there with you all, because I know Christmas is tough for everyone on this channel, really, because this channel is all about, you know, we're all folks that are either like chronic illness, trans, LGBT. There's lots of us on here that struggle with Christmas for lots of different reasons. So please do take care of yourselves, and remember, putting yourself first is not selfish. Self-care is not selfish. You are worth it. So remember that, Finn said. I shall be shutting myself away on the toilet for 5 minutes if I need to, because toilets can be a place to go and shut your eyes and do 5 minutes of breathing. It's fine. Find a place wherever you can, you know. If it's the loo for 5 minutes of shut eye, use it.
take time wherever you can. Anyway, I'm waffling now. It's been 35 minutes. Enjoy this 35 minutes of Finn waffling. I've been on one today, haven't I? Every day I'm bristling. I can't stop doing that. I'm going to be a nightmare at Christmas with this t-shirt, aren't I? I love you all so much. I will see you in the new year, but come and find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you know, all the usual jazz and all that. Jazz. If he's a lammy, his hat. Go away, Finn. I'm going. Right? Love you. Bye.